And there goes the presentation. So thank you everyone for joining us for the startup track pitches today. My name is Ward Wijstra. I'm with Firely. We run this event and we also bring you all the tools and technology and knowledge we need to know to get started with Fire. You're here at the startup track. Is my audio still good? You're right. Let me know if it's not. We have a very tight schedule today. We have 5 very interesting startups who are working with Fire, who are doing really important things. And they're going to tell us today the 3 criteria that they will be judged on by the judges. How Fire enables their products to work, how innovative their idea is, and the business value that their product offers. We have a jury prize of 2,500 euros, and I'll introduce the jury to you in a moment. But we also have a public vote prize, and that's what you're here for. After this session has ended, there will be a survey for you to answer. So let me first quickly take you to what happens if you win the startup track. So on the left, you're seeing Andre Fialho of PactCare, who won in our Amsterdam DevDays in end of last year. And this is where he's accepting his prize. And I just spoke to him today over phone, and he mentioned that this has greatly raised the interest that their customers have had on them and the trust that they have in their solution. And he could also share that they're now ready to sign a top 3 insurer from the Netherlands, which is still under wraps, but that's really good news. In the middle, you're seeing Lieven, a company from France who won in 2018. And the year later, they could announce that they have raised 20 million. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. And then last year in the US, DevDays, Protennis won the startup track. And again, less than a half year later, they raised 17 million. So if you win the startup track, you're in really good hands. I first want to introduce you the sponsors and the jury. So OneUpheld and Health Samurai have been kind enough to sponsor the startup track. They're both great companies themselves, and we have 2 of them in the jury here. First up, I want to give the word quickly to Ricky Sahu from OneUpheld, the CEO at OneUpheld.
Yep. Hey guys, I'm Ricky Sahu, CEO of OneUp, and thanks for including us here. We help healthcare organizations connect to electronic health records. In the US, we're connected to about 10,000 sites. So any startups, health systems, health plans that want to connect to these health systems could use us to make that happen. And then we also have a Fire server that helps people get up and running using a serverless architecture, which is interesting and a little different from most other infrastructures. Thanks again for having us here, and we'll kick it back to you, Ward.
Thanks so much, Ricky. And then over to our other jury member, Pavel from Health Samurai.
Thank you, Ward. So I'm Pavel with Health Samurai. Health Samurai is a Fire company. Our main product is a Fire backend for healthcare called 8box. We are very pleased to sponsor Startup Track. We historically did very well with startups. In fact, you can see one of the logo of our startup, Narus Health, which went from inception in 2016 to acquisition with us, building everything on top of 8box. We always say that the best illustration of the platform capabilities is solutions that you can build on top of it. And so we love to work with startups and very happy to sponsor this track. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Pavel. And then I'll complete the jury as the 3rd jury member. I'm the product owner for Simplifier at Forge. And I've done this also in the previous episodes. So let me quickly take you to the agenda because I want to leave as much time for the startups as possible. We really want your input, but also the time in this session is very short. So please use the Q&A section from Huva and ask your questions there. And please always indicate clearly to which startup you're asking the question. So put their name in front and put the question there. Or if it's for all the startups, make that clear. We'll have video pitches from 5 minutes and they'll be played directly after me. And then we'll unmute together with the judges and the people representing the startups here for a 2-minute Q&A. After we're closing this session, there will appear a survey in Whova under the surveys, and you'll be able to speak your voice there, who you think should win. And that's the end of my introduction. So we have 5 startups today. We have Chronic Mobile. They're going to show us the Fire-based digital prescription fulfillment. We have TipoTap here, and I should also mention who's here from each of them, although you will speak to them in a moment. So Chronic Mobile, I think that's Michael Golden here, but TipoTap, we have Morales Sid talking on the digital healthcare application in minutes using Fire on HexGen. From Emblema, we have Nicholas Smith here and Robert Chu, and they will talk about patient-driven resource networks. The Sovereignty Network, you've seen them a bit in the patient track too, I think. We have their CEO, Hamish McDonald's here, together with a colleague, talking about firing up a data platform for anyone, anywhere, with any data. And finally, we have Stoyan, CEO of Nurse IT Institute, talking about the Fire Power Tools, the energizer for your Fire project. And Jeremy, I'd like to turn it over to the first pitch there. No, that's later.
Meet Sally. Sally isn't feeling very well today, so she schedules an appointment with her doctor. Her doctor enters some prescriptions into the EHR, which are then forwarded to Sally's local pharmacy or DME, and eventually make their way to Sally. The prescription may include an insulin pump, some medications such as insulin, and syringes. Sally's not happy because she has to carry 2 devices instead of just her mobile phone, and that extra device is expensive, so her insurer isn't happy about it, and her doctor can't engage Sally through that device, so he's not thrilled. What if there was a digital pharmacy that was smart enough to accept prescriptions from all major EHRs and automatically install those prescriptions into a secure environment on the patient's existing mobile phone? Then Sally wouldn't have to carry an extra device, making her happy. It would save a lot of money, so the insurer would be happy as well, and her doctor would finally have a way to engage Sally on her terms, improving patient behavior and outcomes. Introducing the future of prescription fulfillment by Chronic Mobile. Hello everyone, my name is Michael Golden, founder of Chronic Mobile, and I'm really excited to share with you today how we're using Fire to solve a really big problem in healthcare. My wife and daughter, who both live with type 1 diabetes, coupled with 20 years of experience bridging the gap between cellular technologies and medical devices for industry leaders, has inspired me to find a way to allow patients to more conveniently, discreetly, and cost-effectively manage their therapies from the convenience of their own mobile phones. Okay, so what exactly does Chronic Mobile do? Well, simply put, we turn mobile phones into medical devices. Now, how do we do that? First, we create a secure medical environment on the patient's existing mobile phone. Then, we safely fulfill the prescription into that secure medical environment via Fire. Let's take a closer look at exactly how we're using HL7 Fire. In this example, the doctor enters a prescription into the EHR. We receive that Fire medication request and compare it to our database to know what apps, settings, and configurations to install. At that point, we know what to install, but we don't yet know where to install it. That's where our second use of Fire comes in. We perform a GET request for the Fire patient resource so that we can find out what mobile device needs to get the prescription. More specifically, we're looking for the mobile number or the email address that's found within the telecom content, within the contact content, within the Fire patient resource. At that point, thanks to Fire, we have everything we need to safely and automatically fulfill that prescription to the patient's mobile device. Okay, we know how we're using Fire, but how much value is Fire bringing exactly? Let's look at a financial example with an 80/20 copay for a $1,000 medical device, where the insurer would pay $800 and the patient would normally pay $200. With Chronic Mobile, there is no $1,000 medical device, it's only a $100 app. Now the insurer only pays $80 and the patient only pays $20. Chronic Mobile shares that revenue back with the medical device OEM. The result is 90% or more savings for the patient, medical device OEM, and the insurer. That extrapolates to a $10.1 billion per year TAM, while saving patients $5 billion and insurers $20 billion per year. So thank you to all those that make FHIR possible. We couldn't have done this without you.
Okay, thank you so much, Michael. So Michael is on the line here. Yeah, I see him here. Michael, thank you so much. Very moving story too. And I'd like to bring in our judges here. Pavel, do you feel comfortable asking a question here?
I think I would like to clarify. The prescription is for the app or for the medication? I'm not sure I 100% understand the.
Yeah, the example I like to use is something like a CGM. So a Dexcom might have a couple NDC codes associated with that medication request. And of course we can support device requests too. But in that case, we'll go in and we'll see that part of that prescription includes a receiver. And that receiver has a corresponding app that can be installed on the patient's phone. So we find the patient's mobile phone, and we automatically install that app on their phone for them.
And how do you automatically install the app on the user's phone? I mean, do they not have to click something?
Yeah, today we use mobile device management software. So Google has a free one. I worked for Samsung in the past, Samsung Knox. So there's a lot of phones out there that already have that software on them. If you come across a patient that doesn't have that yet, our system will send a link to that patient. They can click on it and it will automatically install that piece.
Got it.
And then from then on, they don't have to do that part anymore.
And do you interface directly with the health system, or is there a thought about using patient-mediated authorization as well?
Right now, we're connecting directly to the health system. So we're connected to Epic, Cerner, and Allscripts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Quick question then coming in from the Q&A from Lloyd McKenzie himself. Why are you using medication requests instead of device requests? Because apps could be devices and not medications. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. They'll mostly be DME equipment. We started off looking at this a while back when medication requests were through, and it was a API that I could get out of FHIR at the time through like Epic Sandbox way back when. Mm-hmm. So we started there, but I'm actually on the committee for the post-acute device request orders for FHIR. So we can absolutely support that as well.
Okay, great. So this is in advance. Well, thank you very much, Michael. This was a very short session, of course. Keep those questions coming in the Q&A. I see we're already behind schedule, so I have to cut it off there. But thanks so much here. And,
thank you.
Michael, you'll be available for the rest of the people to ask you questions directly, I think, and in the Q&A.
Yep, I'm looking at it now. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. Jeremy, next page.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Murali Seeth from TipperTap. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to present how you can build applications in minutes using FHIR resources on HexGen platform. As Carolee Close from Boston Consulting Group stated in one of her interviews, digital applications are just a means to the data. Anyone who's been in healthcare industry will know how complex it is to deal with the data, in particular to interoperate across multiple systems and across multiple organizations. Being at DevDays, we know HL7 FHIR helps solve some of these interoperability challenges, but still there is a lot of work to capitalize on these opportunities. As you can see, the data sharing architectures evolved from message-oriented middleware to ESB concepts and then service orientation, leading to the modern API-led enterprise patterns. FHIR standard is completely API-driven, but most healthcare systems and IT landscapes deal with event-driven integrations. Thereby, you can't really query data when you need it using standard interfaces. And that leads to complex bimodal approach for data sourcing for your APIs. In pattern A, data is sourced in real time from federated systems of record, and in pattern B, data is pre-consolidated into a single repository and then Fire APIs are built on top. Introducing HexGen, a fully serverless platform that goes beyond APIs and offers low-code development environment for quickly building applications without writing a lot of code. You can build both web and mobile at the same time directly from Fire structure definitions. The platform offers flexibility to either federate data or present data from consolidated sources. Seeing is believing. Let us quickly create an application and automatically generate app screens from structure definitions. Import a Fire profile by simply specifying the URL. Done. We can now see how the screen looks like for the imported profile. Using the values in structure definition, the status field here only allows active, suspended, and so on. Let's import practitioner role. Here you can see the period with pre-styled dates and also regular expressions automatically applied for the time field. Let's now import patient profile. Here you can see pre-configured identifier section and other validations for phone numbers using regular expressions. HexGen platform automatically created drop-downs when there are references to other resources. For example, general practitioner for a patient or managing organization and so on. All that we have seen is just automatically generated user interface. Using the low-code capabilities of HexGen, we then tailored the functionality in about, say, 1 to 2 days to complete the appointment workflow. Log in as a patient to request for an appointment. As an admin or a receptionist, view the appointments or approve the appointment. Patient then receives an approval notification straight to their mobile device as a push notification. This application can now help manage the complete diagnostic test lifecycle as well, including the lab technician ability to log in and attach test results. The total effort is 1 to 2 days of creating this application. This would not have been possible without Fire resources and HexGen low-code capabilities. With HexGen's serverless architecture, this application is now available for millions of users at an incredibly low total cost of ownership. HexGen has a lot of rich offline mapping checklist capabilities that can be used for consistent care delivery. HexGen is still in alpha phases, and we'd like to connect with potential customers and partners and investors at this conference. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Murali. So please feel free to unmute yourself and jury members to come in. Low-code apps, that's all the rage. Very nice. Ricky, I'm sure that the serverless architecture was something that appealed to you. Do you have any questions here?
Yeah, I mean, the main question I have is, who do you think is going to be the main user? And it seems like you're looking for a technical clinician or something like that that is the main user, but I'm not really clear.
Main users are primarily going to be business analysts or clinical analysts within a healthcare organization, really. Someone who, for example, can build a Fire profile, if they can model a Fire definition, and they are able to understand the data structures, and they can then work with a low-code platform. And even taking regular expressions, for example, if someone's actually filling in those regular expressions as part of that model generation, it's the same kind of role who can then extend to build the application. Often you don't meet all the requirements by a analyst, 80-20, so they'll get the application up to 80% completeness, and then you will still have to engage a developer to complete that rest of the 20% for the complex business requirements.
And can the developer work in any technology stack, or there is some limitation for?
So because it's serverless, backend functions can be written, and the platform runs only on Amazon at the moment. And there's about 7 to 8 different languages that you can choose to build your serverless functions that you can hook into the platform. Within the platform, tailoring the user interface can be done in the browser itself, and that is only JavaScript.
Great, thanks so much. Thank you, Murali. And again, please keep the questions coming in the Q&A, and we'll move on to the next pitch because we still have time to make up for.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicolas. Thank you for inviting me to Fire DevDays to present what we are doing at Emblema. Today, I want to talk to you about how we are using data and Fire to accelerate medical research. I'm the Chief Product Officer of Emblema. Before that, I was Head of Healthcare Products at Nokia and Withings, working on connected devices and wearables. My two co-founders are Professor Vahan Simonian, who used to lead bioinformatics at FDA, and Robert Chu, the former SVP of Technology at IQVIA. Our mission at Emblema is to accelerate the availability of new treatments to patients with high unmet medical needs. Creating a new drug is a long and costly process. It takes up to 15 years, and on average, it costs $2.8 billion. One of the main reasons for this is that we lack good data. We lack good data at the R&D phase to find the appropriate targets. We lack good data to enroll patients in clinical trials on time. We lack abilities to reconnect siloed data sets. And we have very, very little insights as to how patients really feel in the real world. We believe that by using our technology, we'll get treatments approved sooner and at a lesser cost. How do we do this? Well, we give patients a central role. We partner with patient advocacy group and research organization to create patient-driven research networks. Patients are invited onto our platform, and they can collect their different data like medical records, lab results, genomics data, wearables devices. They can also answer patient-reported outcome. All of this data gets consolidated into our platform and in a very user-friendly dashboard. Patients can also add some information like why did they stop taking a drug, as well as see insights and trends. When new studies become available, participants are notified and they can decide if they want to participate or not. Very importantly, we share back insights as soon as possible. We also have a blockchain that helps us enforce data provenance, the regulatory grade quality of our data, as well as patient consent. Where do we use Fire? Well, pretty much everywhere. We rely on smart and Fire protocols to help patients access their medical records from different hospitals. We also connect to patient-reported outcome engines that are starting to support Fire. For connected devices, we try to adhere to the OpenML standard, even if this is a bit of a challenge for us. Following last year's conference, we decided to rebuild part of our backend with a Fire server to make sure that Fire version 4 is our standard format. And last, we are also using Fire to store consent documents from patients. Why is this important? Well, last month, we just concluded a partnership with the Epilepsy Foundation at NYU Langone. Our goal is to build the world's largest data network for epilepsy. In the US, 3.4 million patients suffer from epilepsy. Yet, the most prescribed drug is also the one with the highest discontinuation rate. Actually, 30 to 40% of patients do not have their seizures controlled. So we need good data, and we also need patients' insights. Through this partnership, we are giving patients a tool to fight their disease. Our list of partners is growing. We've been fortunate to work over the last few months with the Allergy and Asthma Network, the MDS Foundation, and Stupid Cancer around COVID-19. We are working with Johnson & Johnson on prostate cancer. And last week, we just graduated from the Match Challenge Health Tech program, and we are just getting started. Thank you for listening to me. If you are a researcher, if you are a patient advocate, if you would like to talk about how we're using FHIR on our platform, please reach out. I'd love to talk to you. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Great, thanks so much. We have two of you on the line. Nicholas has the same background as in the video. He hasn't moved since recording this. And then we have Robert also on the line. Pavel, I see you're already unmuted and ready to go.
Thanks, very interesting. How do you guys recruit patients and find patients for certain diagnoses?
Sure. So we work with patient advocacy group, and basically we partners, with the groups that want to create this type of project, and then they do the recruitment, right? Because they know their patients, they know what they expect, and so really it's a partnership on that front.
Like I understand, like to bring the drug to the market, it's a big challenge to find patients which are a good fit for certain trials, etc. Right?
Yeah, so the goal is to be able to collect all this data, and so all our system is built along the notion of regulatory grade data. So it means not necessarily, from a clinical trials perspective, but like if you look more in terms of real world data, real world evidence. When you use our system, we have the exact same platforms and the FDA is using for big data analytics. So it means we can ensure the data is regulatory grade. And so you can use this sort of data set rather than come back to recruiting patient on a new study. It goes much faster. You have this data ready, so you can get some acceleration that way, for instance.
So if I understand correctly, you guys are helping recruit the patients and get their data into some standard format, and then you're handing that off to whatever partners, research partners downstream, which are the, pharma companies. Is that right? Or whatever clinical research organization.
Yeah, basically we're building cohort of, where patients can come in and share some real world data. And then if some partners are interested to accessing this data, patients get notified, they can consent, to share this data. And then the promise is the data is regulatory grade. So when you use it for your research, you'll be able to submit it to regulators and use it.
Cool.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Nicholas. Robert, I'm sure we'll speak in a different session. Very good. Let's go to the next pitch.
Hello FHIR folks, I'm Hamish MacDonald, founder and CEO of the Sovereignty Network, and today I would like to talk to you about firing up a data platform for anyone, anywhere, with any data. The Sovereignty Network platform brings together healthcare data of all types, from all sources and from anybody and anywhere, and turns it into a global interoperable FHIR and SNOMED CT healthcare record owned and controlled by the individual. Our platform helps people get their data so that they can own it as their own personal asset, share it when they want with whom they want, and profit by licensing it should they wish.
We've proven our concept technically end-to-end. Patient data sourced in places diverse as New Zealand, USA, Japan, Rwanda and Burundi was a mix of structured data types, HL7v2 lab tests, HL7v3 CCD data from EHRs, along with unstructured paper and PDF data with near-illegible doctors writing in French and Japanese. Where it isn't possible to download clean, FHIR-ready data, technically competent people we call data champions help data owners in each location acquire and clean any unstructured data manually. Even unstructured data such as paper can then be transformed through our converters into structured data in a FHIR server. Through disparate use cases, our Fire converter is quickly becoming capable of handling a wide range of data types, and next we'll develop data visualization tools for data owners themselves to see, edit and approve data once in their Fire server account.
To scale the technology, we have designed the platform's legal framework and crucially the underlying business models to specifically empower patients to be the key player by making them the gatekeepers as data owners. We want to democratize and demystify healthcare data for anybody, anywhere, and reward the entire ecosystem fairly and transparently for access to that data. Data is now the lifeblood of the economy. But currently, healthcare data only flows between a few major entities who accumulate the vast majority of its economic value. But to be self-sustaining and promotive of life, healthcare data needs to flow throughout the entire economic body to all participants, including individuals. To achieve this, several things need to be aligned. Unambiguous data ownership rights, supportive business rules that leverage existing legal frameworks, specifically around property rights, open and interoperable data standards such as FHIR, and finally, sustainable business models that reward the value provided. On the Sovereignty platform, data owners own and control their data and hold the exclusive rights to whom they will share and license it. If you're a patient or care for one, you're welcome to join our platform. Data champions are people who help data owners get their data. If you're a developer who can extend our open APIs to do this, if you're an accomplished medical transcriptionist or healthcare data coding expert, or if you're simply technically minded and would like to be paid to help people get their data, you're welcome to join our platform, especially in the USA with the Fire Patient API to be mandated in 2021. Data partners are entities that can push data they control to our data owners. If your organization has data that you can make available to our members to fill their personal data sets, you're welcome to make offers to them. Data licensees can license accurate, comprehensive, and pertinent data. If you would like to make offers of consideration directly to our data owners for specified access to their data set, that includes not just clinical, but also demographic, psychosocial, lifestyle, environmental, and genetic data, or invite them to participate in your research and trials, you are welcome to do that on our platform. And healthcare professionals. If you want to view a more complete, pertinent, and holistic view of a data owner's health status and history, our data owners will soon be able to invite you at any time to view their sovereignty record at no charge. Finally, we are conscious that technologies like FHIR are built upon a body of free and open software data standards. That is why the participants on our platform who provide the value earn the majority of any revenue generated. We believe that technology designed for people to create and share should also have business models designed for the very people who create and share. Further, employment is being hugely disrupted by AI and machine learning, accelerated in a post-COVID-19 world. In an economy where data is the lifeblood, people need to be able to monetize their data as their own personal asset. Health and healthcare data is particularly valuable, and we all produce it every single day. In the words of author Adam Tanner, our bodies, our data. And we would add, our income. Welcome to the Sovereignty Network.
Wonderful, thank you, Hamish. Maybe you can quickly introduce who you brought with you.
Yeah, sure. Hello, I'm Hamish, and this is Mike, our data architect.
Wonderful, thank you. Ricky, how about you?
Yeah, so it seems like you're creating some sort of a network or a marketplace. How do you think you are going to court or create some critical mass for the people that want to buy the data?
Yeah, good question. So to get critical mass, we have two key participants on the marketplace. One is data owners. These are the people who actually are patients and they have data. The other is data champions, and you would have seen one of them in the video working to source the data. In some countries, data owners pay data champions to be able to get their data for them. In other cases, DIY data owners get their own data using their own effort. But in the case of Africa in particular, which is where our product is beginning to be used these past few weeks, certainly, we have the ability for people to be, well, large organizations to be able to sponsor people to get that data. There are a number of organizations that want that to happen. And so we're in talks with them. And then ultimately, of course, the data licensing is where the true business model takes place. But to get there, we first of all have a marketplace between data owners and data champions to be able to source the data.
That's wonderful, Hamish. I really apologize, but Pavel, would you mind putting your question in the comments? Because I see the 5-minute sign has already gone up, and we have a 4.5-minute pitch from Stoyan coming up from Nurse IT. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll run a bit over time.
Thank you.
Hello, and many greetings from Germany. The Nurse IT Institute is a care-tech company based in Berlin. We specialize in software products for professional care in hospitals. Our main product, CareIt Pro, is a 100% FHIR-based nursing documentation solution. Documentation in nursing usually means the accumulation of information in forms, and building them with XML and JSON is not very exciting. So we needed tools, lots of them, and this is how the FHIR Power Tools were born. At first, we built these apps for internal use, but we noticed they can be very helpful to other FHIR projects. So let's start with the questionnaire builder. During login, you can select the FHIR server or can work offline directly in the browser without FHIR connection. A list of all active questionnaires will appear on the left side and can be filtered by status. A click on the list loads the selected questionnaire. The editing of the questionnaire is organized in several tabs. The metadata is entered on the first tab. Name, title, version can be simply specified. The actual building of the questionnaire takes place on the second tab. It's a complete visual representation that shows changes in the structure in real time. The group items are displayed on the left side and can be used as navigation. If we go with the mouse over an item, it will be highlighted. On the right side of the label, you can see a couple of action buttons. The wrench opens a window where the properties and the item can be exactly specified, starting with the link ID, the labels, the item type, translations, or options as needed, up to the extensions and enable when rules. We have made a special effort to implement an intuitive interface for the enable when logic. First, the enable whens are always evaluated so that the rules can be tested during development. And second, you can simply select the question needed for the rule and then get the possible answers. The source code tab allows direct editing of the underlying JSON structure. The link ID tab offers some practical tools for better management of the items and their translations. The questionnaire viewer provides a customizable visualization and execution of the questionnaire resource. It can load and save a questionnaire response and can also change the language on the fly if translations are provided with the standard questionnaire extensions. The report builder is a Windows application to create pixel-accurate layouts for printing. It automatically analyzes the questionnaire structure and generates data sources for dynamic field binding of one or more questionnaire responses. The report viewer executes the reports and displays them in the browser or delivers a PDF. The code system and value set editors make it easier to manage terminology-related resources. The code systems of the connected FHIR server are shown in the list. If you have ever wondered what Nomad City looks like as a FHIR resource, well, there is a bunch of properties and no concepts, of course. A code system can also be imported. Let's bring in something more sophisticated, for example, the V3 code system art code. Besides the properties, this code system has also a lot of concepts. The different levels are displayed in a tree structure, and we can see here, for example, that the first level has the property not selectable, which does not exist on the second level. The value set editor works according to the same principles. Let's take a value set from the list, for example, the fever class, which comes from the German COVID-19 effort. It completely contains the fever class code system. There are no filters, but there is an additional concept from Loink here without display. In the expansion tab, we can see which concepts are included in the complete set. Some of the tools can also be invoked directly and are able to work with external resources, as demonstrated here with the simplifier. The Smart Dashboard was born as a part of a research project. It is an EHR-independent environment that provides integration and display of smart on FHIR apps, CDS hooks, and other information on the same screen. It can act both as a Smart on Fire client application that integrates itself into the EHR, as well as a standalone application that can host other Smart on Fire apps or CDS hooks. Since the beginnings a couple of years ago, we have come a long way. Currently, many of the tools are already very stable and are used intensively in production. Still, there is a lot of potential for improvements, and I hope to get the interest and support of the community with the official release today. This presentation could only scratch the surface. For more, please visit the website and give it a try. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stoyan. I'm sure you just put simplifier in there to influence me, but that's not going to happen. I'll give this last question to Pavel.
Sure, thank you. Nice presentation. So what kind of help are you looking for from the community? How do you guys collaborate? Maybe talk about this.
So I just launched a website, and there will be connection links there, so you can use it to work on your resources. I hope that maybe people are interested to integrate the tools in other projects or in other platforms, like in yours, for example. But we did not create those for like to be a separate product or stuff. We created them for our own use. That's why they are actually born out of actual needs for actual projects. And I think that we profit so much from the community and from FHIR that we wanted to give something back, and now we're cleaning them up and putting them for use. So I hope that people will have their life a little better with those tools in FHIR.
I'm sure it will. Thank you.
Great. And thank you to the jury, to Pavel, to Ricky for having some great questions here. I want to greatly thank our wonderful startups that have presented. I've seen a great focus on patients, focus on great user interfaces, focus on making it easier to share data. And I think that's what this community eventually is all about. What's next? Please continue to ask your questions. The startups will monitor those and will answer them. This is really, we really need your scrutiny here. Survey probably has opened right now. If you go into Whova, go to the home screen and go to surveys, it should probably be there. I haven't checked yet. And the announcement will be tomorrow, 1:30 Eastern time, directly after the Erika Okrent keynote. So please be there and we'll announce who takes home the prizes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See y'all later.
Thanks so much. Yeah, see you.
Thank you.